moments past noon. Waxahachie, Texas. We got a little bit of a winter chill. It's nothing
We
like a lot
sure
of people
did.
have.
We sure did.
Uh, and we are deep in the heart of the Lone Star State. And today is December 10th, 2024. It is the 24th episode of Grit and Good News. We're broadcasting live from our palatial studio here in the second story across from the Waxahachie Sun in the shadows of the Ellis County Courthouse, a historic courthouse, I might add. I'm Jeff Lynch, your co-host. It gives me great pride, pleasure, and honor to introduce you to our host, my friend and yours, Scott Brooks.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a cold but beautiful day and show. We are excited to be here as always. We do these shows every Tuesday and Thursday from noon to 1 and talk about a number of things. And the more we get together, and Jeff and I do spend some time together, we find other things to talk about and
Always.
and all that. We never want to bore you. So please, if there are things you want us to talk about that we're not talking about, let us know and we'll add those to the list. There's so much going on in this world. It's amazing.
And I have one thing we did not talk about. Let's talk about the arrest of Luigi.
Yeah, Luigi.
Okay. He just sounds like
He sounds like one of those guys on the I don't know why I think of a Mario Kart game or whatever.
oh,
Is there a Luigi?
Mario
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Luigi. I think he sounds like a member of an old mafiosa gang
yeah,
in New
yeah.
York. And the irony being that took place in New York. But um this is bothering me. So now that they got him,
Yeah.
I think we might have had conjecture that he hadn't tried hard enough to cover his tracks, and he thought he would eventually be okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you're captured at a McDonald's, that's not a big thing. But when they go to your backpack and you're walking around with that gun and with that silencer
And with your manifesto.
and with your manifesto, okay, that's the really, I knew I was going to get caught. But here's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to make a statement all along. And that's why I had those three key words on the bullet:
Yeah.
deny,
Right.
depose,
And defend.
and defend.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why I did it. But what I find disturbing is this isn't your everyday thug. This is a guy from a rich as snot family.
Yeah.
Okay. And as Rita and I were talking about this morning, you don't hear anything about, he's got a LinkedIn page, but you don't hear anything about his jobs. I think he's a trust fund baby. The grandfather was a multi-millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you're the valedictorian at a private school in Baltimore.
Right.
You go to an Ivy League school. I had to look this up. The University of Penn. I did not think they were an Ivy League
Yeah.
school, but they're okay. All right. And you've got a master's degree. Okay. And now you're going out brazenly shooting a CEO because you want to make a stand against corporate America. Of course, that was the atmosphere that raised you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't want him to be the new hero for a class of prosperous people.
Well, in some ways, he, I consider these people to be idiotic. Those that come out and say, good for Luigi, he needs to take out all these rats. And I don't know anything about Brian Thompson, but I do know that he, other than he was a father,
Yeah.
he was a husband who separated from his wife, but he had a family. He was a son. He likely was a brother. He was a friend. And Luigi Mangione just took him out in cold blood. I happened to see the actual full length video of him being shot.
Mhm.
And when he was shot, right now most of the videos just show when he starts to, almost like you can see the bullet hitting him, and he starts to, one of his legs sort of buckles. That stops. Well, when he was shot, the actual follow through made him fall against the hotel wall and turn around. So he was staring at the shooter.
And that's when the second shot
And
came.
that's, well, that was either second, third, fourth, or
Yeah.
fifth, whatever, however many there were. But that's when, the shooter got closer to him,
Hmm.
and that by then he was had fallen, and so he saw what was happening to him. And the thing about, I heard a couple of pundits last night talking about how this upbringing and his intelligence and all that, it
And a
appears.
voracious reader.
Yeah, and it appears, according to when I say pundits, I'm talking about psychologists who say this guy likely felt he was smarter than anybody else, and he was not going to get caught, and he didn't it wasn't on his radar to remove that stuff out of his bag. He just didn't believe he was going to get caught, and he's thinking to himself, "I'm going to go to Altoona, PA, could have been Waxahachie, Texas, and hang out at a McDonald's."
Yeah, I don't think anybody that smart could be that dumb.
Well,
I think he wanted to make sure that when he got caught, his message
Well, that might have
came
been
out.
part of it too, but I remember, ironically, I worked for the Baltimore Sun, and my boss, who I happen to love, she was brilliant. She went to Brown and Harvard.
They're on the
She
list.
was
Yeah.
so smart. She was as dumb a smart person. Smart. I don't know how to actually say that, but she couldn't walk across the street without getting run over. She was that ditzy.
I used to call that school smart, life dumb.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so this guy may be similar to that, but they caught him. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. 26 years old. I just don't understand. There are better ways to go about this, obviously. So, but that is some big news. The
Yeah.
other big news is Daniel Penny, who has been found not guilty on all charges and is free, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But this morning we want to start by talking about Donald Trump and what his first 100 days will look like. We're going to just say let's talk about three or four, maybe five of the top of his
Hmm.
objective list, and what would those things be? I'm going to say that I think he'll do some of these, actually begin to do some of these, if not, pardon the pun, but pull the trigger on them on day one, and start to get them done. So for me, I don't think there's any question. The first thing Donald Trump is going to do is address the border, and that is, at a minimum, Biden and Harris uh, wobbled into the White House and reversed many of Trump's, I can't remember how many he had, 92 or whatever, reversed some of Trump's executive orders with respect to the border. And that's when the problems really started to build. Trump's going to just go back in, and I don't think he has to do much. He's going to say, give me that. He already has it. Give me what I did in the last year of my first uh, term, and let's do those. Uh,
When you talk about doing things in advance, we had another discussion about this a few weeks ago about what he might do. What would be the three priorities that we would each pick? And I mean, I think talking to Ukraine and Russia is something he can do in advance. I think he can have some conversations with the Middle East. But hey, Donald, easy, big guy. Easy, easy, easy.
you know,
You
that,
know, you got a lot of people that took it hard that are already ruffled. Just hold your cotton picking horses to January 20th because you cannot do anything regarding the
yeah, yeah.
border, and it's ludicrous
I
to
think
to,
I
to
think
try.
if you think of the personality, a driver personality, I can see where he would be saying, okay, Biden's not doing anything, and if he is, he's making it worse. So I'm going to try to. I want my cab. He can't even get cabinet hearings until he's the president.
Uh,
So, but he wants all that to happen really fast. With respect to the border, I believe it's him saying, I'm addressing it right away, and here we go. And then he's going to talk about, not
that's
talk
not
about
wise. That's not wise.
he
But
well,
that doesn't mean he wouldn't do it.
true. The war in Ukraine, I believe, is on that list, and
Yeah, yeah,
I am saying border will be number one. The rest of these can, the order can be
right,
all mixed up.
right.
But you got the war in Ukraine, we got drill baby drill, as he calls it, and we've got, I've added tax reform. I've added, pardon January 6th prisoners, which is almost incredible that I hear myself saying people are now prisoners as a
But
result
they are.
of being there.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's what I have: border, war in Ukraine, drill, tax reform, Pardon, and I believe that's it for my list. Anything you want to add to that list?
Um, we had a little chat about electric energy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's
Um,
part of the drill. Under the
yeah,
drill is under drill. Well, under border, I believe he's going to go back to his original plan. He's going to start deporting criminals as quickly as can be. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, just for semblance sake,
symbols.
symbolic, that he says, let's pick whichever one you want to pick, the criminal, and let's make it publicize it. Show him being sick back home where he belongs and get him out of this. Not it's not far from. It's not a stretch to say Trump would do something like that, given the marketer that he is. But I believe uh, we will see very clearly on day one that the border will be addressed. With respect to the drilling, there's a number of things. Remove regulations that have been in place. I don't know how many hundreds of regulations have been put in place by the Biden administration with respect to energy, and he wants to remove those. He's going to terminate electric vehicle mandates, which there are more than the average person knows out there, that by a certain period of time in the future, Biden and Harris said you've got to have uh, a certain percentage of your sales have to be electric vehicles. There are certain whatever you call those things, mandates about carbon footprints and energy usage and all those sort of things that they put in place, that on January 1st 2030 you got to be this compliant, that kind of thing. I think Trump's going to say, get rid of all that, just burn that stuff, because we're not doing that.
How do you feel about nuclear?
Well, we got to be the strongest nuclear force on the world right now. I don't know that we are. Russia.
Nuclear energy.
Oh well, I mean, I don't. No one's ever called me a nuclear scientist or a rocket scientist, but I do think that smart people will make sure we have it.
How do you feel about hydroelectric?
Yeah. Again, I living in Buffalo and watching that Niagara River flow, where there are hydroelectric plants there on the river.
Right.
I mean, the force of all that was just amazing to watch, and to realize that that is generating this kind of power was amazing. And so Trump, I mean, my power bill last month was the most it's ever been since I've lived in the home I've lived in, which is 6 years. It was $500. Now that may not be much for those who have big homes. It may be way a lot for those who have smaller homes, but $500 to me is absurd. And we don't use any more energy in terms of the actual, when we have the heater on or the air conditioner on. We don't use any more than we ever have at this time of year.
Okay, I'm going way off the charts on
All
this
right.
one. Okay, I had a poem on October 29th, Gravity.
Gravity, yeah.
It's one of my favorite poems.
Right.
But you know what?
Yeah, it falls.
No matter what, gravity's pulling us to this earth. Now, here's what I want. This is an idea that I don't have the knowledge to begin to make work. But if we got the smart engineering people on this, how about creating a device that used simultaneously 3 different sources of energy, and one of them is solar,
Hmm.
and one of them is wind, and one of them is gravity. Okay, and think about all of the people that are riding cycles, uh,
Yeah.
a bike that you ride, or at the gym, or doing all these things, and all those things
Kind of connect that to an
kind of
energy.
connect to
Yeah.
gravity, and find a way to harness
Yeah.
stuff. Find a way to pay people to produce their own gravity by having units in their house.
Yeah. Or like the YMCA could become and that into that
Or
description could become
or the
an
gyms.
energy
And
source.
you,
Yeah.
you know, windmills, what they are, they're using gravity, but they're using wind, but it does relate to gravity.
Yeah.
Okay. And a device that could do all those things and that could convert them into battery units,
Yeah.
and then the battery units can be used
Yeah.
so many
That's pretty
different ways.
interesting.
You liking it?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Although
Okay,
I would
world. Hello, world.
Although I will say that Trump is also going to terminate mandates for offshore wind projects. So, but that's different than what you're talking about. However, he's not a fan of wind. He's not a fan of any of this what do you call it, renewable energies,
Yeah.
or yeah, so or green energy. He's going to approve pipeline projects and federal drilling. So we're going to see what he did in the first term and just happened with more aggression in the second term, and that is
Yeah.
to say, he made a promise on the campaign trail. By the end of my first year, you guys are going to have your energy costs are going to be half what they are now. So I'm expecting my president, somebody I support vigorously, to have my again, I just said it. My power bill or electric bill, whatever you want to call it, was $500 last month, and so it should be this time next year when I pay November's bill. It should be $250. That's the deal. So we'll see.
So was that because of an increase from
No,
heating costs
no,
over?
it's the same. It's no colder now than it was last year.
No, I mean, is your summer bill 500?
It's about 450,
Okay.
430. But the point is that we haven't had any cyclical changes in our weather patterns here.
Right.
So
Right.
whatever we did last year, we're doing this year, and it's
Hmm.
it's exponentially up, significant. I'd say probably compared to last summer, this summer was on average maybe 100 $120 a month higher.
Hmm.
So it's a very real thing, and Trump's wise to say he can reduce it. The question is, can he reduce it to what he said he could? Yeah, because I'm going to hold him accountable to that. So we got the border, we've got drill, baby drill, we've got uh, the 6th, January 6th people. I say let them all out, let them all out. And Trump said in an interview the other day and on the week over the weekend on CBS or NBC that he believes the January 6th committee should be thrown in jail.
I heard that.
Now, now, Trump has also said, like any president, I'm not going to tell my Department of Justice Attorney General what to do. But when
Right.
he says in an interview, I think the January 6th committee ought to be in jail. That's a wink, wink, nod, nod, if you ask me. And so I think they're going to take a look at that. And then tax reform. Stephen Miller, he's a little twerpy looking guy. He's smart, but he's a wise guy. He's one of Trump's favorite people. Little bitty skinny dude, bald headed, more bald than me. He was on the other night. They said, "Are you guys really going to do tax reform?" And he said, we're doing tax reform. So I don't know if that's going to be a flat tax, if that's going to be, remember if in the first term, Trump said, you'll be able to do your taxes on a form the size of a postcard. And I'm like, you're preaching to the 330 million people in America that are on that kick. So we'll see. Um, so that's what I think he's going to be tackling on his first day and in the 99 days that follow.
And it is a famous thing to make big judgments about what happens in the first 100
Yeah,
days.
it's a big
That's a
deal.
common
Always.
deal.
Yeah, there'll
So
be lots of stories written about that. All right. Cancun's. It is now 12:19 on Tuesday afternoon. Because you're watching our show, unless you're eating at Cancun's while you're watching our show, you can go after the
Central
show.
Standard Time.
Yeah, Central Standard Time. You can go to the show. I mean, go to Cancun's after the show. Cancun's is a American Tex-Mex, Ameritex-Mex restaurant, as I Amerimet. No, I throw in Texas. I know. They don't. Cancun's calls itself
Amerimex.
Amerimex. I call it Amera Ameritex-Mex. That's what I call it. So it's
They hired
on.
you to do commercials, not to become their marketing
Yeah,
genius.
yeah. They don't want me stumbling all over them. But if you go 2.5 miles north of the bypass, 287 bypass on 77, you'll see Cancun's, a very nice looking restaurant on your left, which is the west side of the street. Uh, Great food, great service. I said every show, great people. They're very friendly. We love cutting up with those servers. They're really, really wonderful. They do a great job. You spend $20 there, and you show them a coupon that you'll find on our Down Home app. You can get a free order of sopapillas, and I think there are four of them in there with butter and
3.
honey. Three?
I begged a fourth.
Oh,
I was with
you
four
didn't get it?
people. No, I begged it and I
And you
got it.
got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get three sopapillas, and they are big. I mean, they're so good, so dang good. So visit Cancun's for breakfast, dinner, lunch, brunch. You'll have a pleasant experience and really good food. All right. Are the federal agencies in this country, have they been, and are they being weaponized in this case against uh, against specifically those on the right, namely Donald Trump. What do you think?
Well, I think we have to first say that we have a structure in place where the controlling party gets to make a lot of appointments. And so I don't think it's new to have some degree of weaponizing because you got your people in charge. And that goes really all the way up to the Supreme Court. And it's always been that way.
Right?
You've got your process for appointing them, and it just has to see what happens by when people die and when people retire. And I know we had a big flap. Um, you know better the specifics. I don't remember them. Recently about when somebody retired and should they have waited longer or gone sooner. But bottom line is the Supreme Court is veering more towards Republicans now. Judges, they're all about being impartial, but people do you can't not have your political
Well,
beliefs.
yeah, I mean, all you got to do is look at the case against New York against Trump out of New York City, and those
Yeah,
judges there, the Attorney
yeah.
General,
So it's at
the
all
AG,
levels,
yeah, yeah, it is
and
all
and,
all
and that
levels.
that New York City bunch and that New York State bunch, they're
They
just
won't
gotten people.
stop. Yeah, they fulfill the adage that says when you're in a hole, quit digging. They're just digging deeper and deeper. Even this morning, Letitia, I think is her first name, James, the AG in New York, said we're gonna continue to try in this case try Trump civilly, but it's not going to be thrown out. And I think there's also another report that says the Republicans now in the Senate and in the House, maybe more so in the House, are asking for Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in New York City, to be investigated for civil rights violations. I think at some point it has to be addressed. Look, if I'm Trump, I think it's wise for him to say and to stay out of his AG's way. That be Sam Bondi. But Trump's made it clear that there are certain people that he thinks ought to be taken a look at. Anybody that he believes committed a crime. And so, whether it be the January 6th committee, whether it be Alvin Brigg, whether it be the Fannie Willis down in Atlanta, I mean, these people sold out. I mean, literally sold out to the rule of law to bury Donald Trump, and Donald Trump wins at every turn. And so, at some point, you got to say, "Wait a minute, what am I doing here? I mean, this is silly. I got to move on to, and furthermore, the guy in New York, Alvin Bragg, is the one who tried Daniel Penny and lost completely, including with shenanigans that they tried over the weekend. And so the
And,
idea
and
that
what was his agenda? I
who,
mean, why did he?
with respect to Penny,
Yeah,
well, because you got a white guy in New York that
what was it? Back
uh,
to the race thing?
I think it's back to the race thing. Matter of
Wow.
fact, the young man that died, his family and supporters were out there yesterday and saying, as a result of the verdict, were saying we need black
Vigilantes.
that too. We need that. I mean, if they're not going to, if the courts
Oh,
aren't going to
you
take
or
care of
you
it,
or vigilance? You're saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
but they were talking about violence and they were talking about taking action on their own. That here's the thing: is that what makes these things weaponized is when you look at the facts with respect to Daniel Penny. Let's just say Daniel Penny goes onto a metro subway car, which I don't know if you've been there and rode those, but I've
I
been on
have.
them, and back when I
30
used to
years
ride them,
ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing in
yeah,
the world. And I thought how efficient this is. I was working in sales, and I was getting out to the Bronx,
yeah,
and
yeah. So
it was so cool
it was
everywhere I
cool.
went.
There was a time when it was cool back in those days, but imagine being on it today. Doesn't matter what color the guy is, but a guy gets on there, he's obviously not in his right mind. He's screaming people are going to die today on this train, and all these other things. And Daniel and starts getting physically aggressive. Daniel Penny, again, without knowing the color, just say person one, person two, comes to the other people's defense and chokes
That's
the
the
guy.
key.
And so the point I'm making is that even the race those who praised Daniel Penny were black, and yet Alvin Bragg, maybe it is, said it doesn't matter. We're going to try this guy, and we're going to mess with how the judge kind of changed the rules, let him throw out one verdict that,
That's the whole
and then
democratic way of doing that in New York
I
too, is
guess,
that rule
well,
changing,
certainly
you
in New
know?
York, but the idea that these institutions are being weaponized. I mean, look at the FBI. Look at the FBI. The FBI director said when Trump was shot in the ear, we're not sure it was even a bullet. Could have been shrapnel.
Rush to judgment there.
I mean, how, I don't see how these people, frankly,
Or a piece of glass.
well, yeah. So here's what I don't understand. I don't understand why anyone can't just look in the mirror at themselves at some point and say, I can do better. Why can't, Ray, the Christopher Ray, say, I know it was a bullet. Say in front of his own mirror, in his own private space, I know it was a bullet. Why can't I just say that? Why can't I defend the rule of law as opposed to being so consumed with my hatred for Trump that I'm willing to say and do and lie about anything?
Yeah, maybe a part of it had to do with being embarrassed at knowing that the department you lead has not done a very good job. You think
Yeah,
that's a factor?
maybe so. But when these people sit in front of uh, the Senate or the House or whatever committee they're in front of, you listen to Ray, you listen to Merrick Garland, and they're defiant. They don't say I'm sorry. They don't say, yeah, we mishandled this. Whatever happened to that being an attribute? Whatever happened to being recognizing that vulnerability or the ability to say I apologize or I made a mistake, whatever happened to that being admirable? It's admirable when it's appropriate, when it's authentic. If you make a mistake, the FBI director should have said, I made a mistake, by saying that it was possibly glass or possibly shrapnel. Because now that's Trump said it in this interview. She says to the interviewer says to Trump, are you gonna fire Chris Ray? And Trump says the guy raided my home, approved for my home to be raided, and he believed that the bullet that nearly killed me was a piece of shrapnel or glass.
Admitting mistakes is important in every
It
level
is.
in life. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, you won't believe this, but that's one of the reasons I'm married to Rita right now,
Yeah.
because she said to me that there were 4 criteria she had for any man,
Hmm.
and admitting mistakes was one of them.
Yeah.
And she'd seen that I'd done that a few times. And it helped lock it up.
Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, not only, I mean, that's a byproduct of just being a decent, good human being. So when we think about these institutions being weaponized, you can't be weaponized unless you're willing to be weaponized.
If I hadn't made so many mistakes, she wouldn't have known that I had an
Yeah, well,
ability to admit them.
don't we all make mistakes? But the idea that I'm open for business, as it were, at
Right.
the DOJ and the FBI to say, yeah, let's play some games here.
Yeah.
Let's leave this president, even in July, most people thought he was going to be president, or I certainly did. Let's leave him vulnerable to a sniper or two or three or however many, and over these months. Let's be willing to compromise our safety and security. Who can do that and
Wow.
then look at
Now,
themselves? You know what I mean? Sammy, yes, Doug's screaming out.
um,
So that's what I just don't quite understand. But the weaponization, I don't think it's going to end, but I don't think it's going to be as blatant and obvious as what we have seen these last 4 years. Part of the issue is that some of the things that Pam Bondi will want to go after, most Americans will say it's about time.
yeah,
Whereas these guys going after Trump, Trump didn't do anything wrong to American people to be in his 4 years
right.
to be on the target list, as it were.
And speaking of our screens, we have not heard from anybody. Is everything working all right in that department?
Yeah, where are y'all? We normally hear from
Okay.
bunches of people, so
Man, they don't like these topics. They don't
yeah,
like
well,
these topics. That's okay.
they
That's
should.
okay. We're moving on.
All right, what do you got? We got
Let's talk about
Mr.
Mr. Rooter.
Rooter.
Should we talk about Mr.
Yeah.
Rooter? We have a fine sponsor by the name of Mr. Rooter, and I don't even know where to start. But I'll tell you this: when you've been around since 1970, and when you've got offices all over North America, yet you still got local ownership, that's a nice combination. They are part of Neighborly, which is an alliance of service organizations who have the nice motto that the neighborly done promise. And they do things in a neighborly way. And when you get Mr. Rooter, you always get licensed plumbers. You always get licensed experts. You get guaranteed parts and workmanship. You get courteous, uniformed professionals who are going to arrive on time for specific appointments, not 4 hour windows. Um, they're going to keep your home clean with mats and shoe covers. They're going to provide you a price before you start. They're going to deliver high quality, durable repairs, and they will stand behind their work, peace of mind. They do both residential and commercial work, and they will do remodeling. And so when you want to update that bathroom, it's one of the most important things in terms of your home value, your bathroom and your kitchen. They're not going to mess with your kitchen. They'll do whatever you want with your bathroom. They'll give you ideas. They'll follow your ideas. They'll get it done. You can get a hold of them on the phone at 469 240 3113, 469 240 3113, or on the World Wide Web at Mr. Rooter, ROOTER.com Waxahachie.
Very good.
Boom.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter. All right, we've added a new little brief segment to our show. You know, I can't speak for Jeff, but I can speak for myself, obviously, and that is the thoughts that go through my mind in any given moment are sometimes they're just absurd, sometimes they're hilarious, sometimes they're frightening, sometimes they're crazy, sometimes, yeah, Chuck says just a frustrating
Yeah.
topic, but I understand for sure. You know, what we've learned is that when we talk about politics, and this happens with my column as well, people who are adamantly in agreement with us, sometimes it's either too frustrating for them when we're talking about these things to post, or they'll post and then they're attacked
Yeah.
for their post. So we get it. But we've added this new segment to kind of capture some random thoughts that each of us have. I'll do my 5 today, and then on Thursday, Jeff will have his. But I want to tell you this: I bought a little device. These guys have heard me talk about it. It's called Plaud, Plaud. It's a shameless plug for Plaud, but you can wear it on around your neck. You can wear it on your wrist as like a watch. You can pin it like a woman might a brooch. But it looks like a thumb drive. And when you engage it, it will listen to everything you do all day or whatever time period. And then when you're done with that or you turn it off, it will allow you to capture that and then send it out to either other people or to yourself in a certain format. It's really cool. You can get the audio, you can get the transcription, and then you can get summaries. And so I'm going to use it, and so I can capture some of these crazy thoughts that I normally don't say out loud. I probably should just be alone when I do say them out loud for Applaud to catch them. But that said, random thoughts that I've had since our last show that I thought are truly all random. Number one, SMU deserves to be in the NCAA football playoffs. And that said, even as the biggest Alabama fan you know, because if SMU did not get in, it would have been Bama. But Bama, we had 9-3, one of our most terrible years ever. We were 9-3. We lost to Oklahoma of all teams. We lost to Vanderbilt of all teams, and we lost to Tennessee there in the last second, or the last minute of the game. SMU had a great year. And they had a great game. They should have beat Clemson. Clemson kicked a 56-yard field goal with no time. So my random thought: SMU deserves to be in. Go Ponies.
So random thought followed by a paragraph
Yeah.
of justification.
Daniel,
Next thought.
second, Daniel Penny. Yeah, very. All right, I'll keep this one to the thought. Daniel Penny is a hero who never should have been prosecuted. Taylor Sheridan, for those of you who like Lioness, Yellowstone, Landman, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, Taylor Sheridan is the writer, producer, and director of those. Taylor Sheridan is the best of those things in our lifetime.
10-4.
Juan Soto will enable the Mets to win a World Series in the next 3 years.
What's the story on that contract? 15 years for
$865 million.
how old is Juan Soto?
He's in his 20s. He's $51 million a year good. And then my last one is, we just talked about this. Vulnerability is a powerful strength and an attribute of true leadership.
There you go.
Da-da. All
There
right.
you go.
Now we know what time it is, boys. And Sammy's going to be involved in this one. And those of you watching who were watching the other day when we did these pools or these brackets, it's your time to shine as well. So let me just say this. The committee, for the most part, I think, given the way it's set up, got it right. I mean, there are some things they can't change, like Boise State won its conference or whatever, I guess it's conference, so it's automatically in. Arizona State won its conference, so it's automatically in. SMU, well, they didn't win their conference, but they had a great year, so that was a choice by the committee. But there are things they can't do. It's set in the rules. But the other day, so we know the other day we had, compared to the one on the screen. Sammy, do you have it up on the screen? We had Texas, Ohio State. So the projection from last week was the same as what it is now. Then we had Penn State and Arizona State was the projection. On the actual one, it's now Clemson against Texas. All right. Last week we had,
but Penn State comes and moves over to the other
yes,
side, right?
That's right. We're
Yeah.
gonna no, it doesn't move to the other. Yeah, it does. It moves to the other side.
Yeah.
But last week it was Penn State versus Arizona State. Then it was on the other side. It was Georgia versus Indiana. Now it's Indiana versus Notre Dame, and it was last week Notre Dame versus Bama. The actual bracket now is SMU versus Penn State. So let's go through these. What do we got? Tennessee or Ohio State?
Tennessee, Sam?
I'll go Ohio State.
I'll go Ohio State too.
I'm going Ohio State too. All right, I don't like that, but that's what I'm going with. All right, we got
And so we got O versus O there. Ohio State against Oregon.
Yeah, and we got Clemson
and that will be played at
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yes. Then we got Clemson, Texas, played at Texas
because they're the higher seed.
Yeah, the highest seed in the first round gets.
So y'all got Texas or Clemson?
Texas.
Texas.
All right, flip over to the other side. We got Indiana at Notre Dame.
You know, I like this because it's an interstate rivalry.
But it's not really known as a rivalry because Indiana's never been a football school.
And one of them is a Big Ten public school, and one of them is
independent.
The Mother of Our Lord's University, a Catholic school, and you got to go with the Irish there.
Yeah, Notre Dame Irish by 500. Yep,
Notre Dame, and then we got SMU, Penn State. We're gonna check some objectivity.
I looked. I took a weather report look yesterday of what Saturday would look like in hat.
It's not until the 20th.
21st.
A week.
21st.
Okay.
But this Saturday's probably gonna be like the 21st.
You knocked me off again. It probably will be the same, and that was looking at a low of 24 and a high of 42. And frankly, being a week deeper into winter, I think it'll be even colder. I got to tell you.
Check the plug, Sam. Check the plug.
My heart.
Yeah. What you got?
Well, my heart's with the ponies, and I'm gonna stay with the ponies, but I'm glad that it's foolish for us right now, so that they're in coolish weather to practice. But yeah, I'm going with the ponies.
Question will be: can Kevin Jennings get up there when it's 20 degrees and he's freezing his butt off? Can he?
The boy from South Oak Cliff, Texas. Okay.
What do you got, Sam?
I got SMU.
All right, SMU.
Easy. Chuck has Penn State.
Chuck,
so we're gonna have to talk. But
Chuck's the smartest of all of us because he's not being led by any.
Kennedy is
bias.
ponying up. Kennedy, how many games have you and your Bo been to this year together for SMU?
We have been to 3.
3.
We saw them play BYU, Pittsburgh, and TCU.
So you're 3-0, but you're not going to Happy Valley.
I'm not going to Happy Valley, and we are 2-1. They lost to BYU their first game.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So that SMU only has 2 losses, BYU and Clemson. They should have beat Clemson, really and truly. All right, so I'm going with SMU too, but not because I'm biased or believe that, I always have to pick against or pick SMU. I'm not one of those types. I believe they'll beat Penn State. All right, we go back over to Ohio State, Oregon. They've already played this year at Oregon, and Oregon won.
I mean, and Oregon is undefeated, and they
Yes.
had to have been undefeated to do that.
To remind you, this will be in a neutral site, so there's no home field
All right. So
advantage.
what do you got?
And where will that neutral site be?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it'll be
I don't
neutral.
know
So
either. Yeah.
I wish it would have been more of it.
I got Oregon though. Oregon.
Okay.
It's gonna
What
be
do
a
you got,
close
Doug?
game.
I mean,
You called me
Jeff,
Doug twice now.
I'm sorry.
What
do we got?
I don't know why I don't like Oregon and Boise State, but I also kind of like to root against the Big Ten because I think they think they're better than they are. So I don't know. Do I have to make a decision?
Yeah, within the next day or so.
Chuck said, not sure SMU's played a proven
They had
schedule.
75th toughest schedule in America.
Yeah, they didn't have the toughest schedule, but
Alabama had the 18th toughest.
you can't deny they played
Chuck's
ball.
got Oregon. You need to pick one.
And Ohio State lost to Michigan towards the end of the year.
Yes.
Is that right?
Did Rita say that your ability to make a snap decision was one of those things too?
No, she
Okay,
didn't.
pick one or I'm moving on.
Okay, I'll take Oregon.
All right. Then I got Oregon too. All right. Now we got Arizona State versus Texas. What do y'all got?
The eyes of Texas are upon
I know what my dad's gonna do.
What do
I
you
got?
got?
I got Texas.
Y'all are crazy. I'm telling you, Arizona State, Scattaboo is their running back, and he's a stud. Scattaboo. And their quarterback's a stud.
No.
I started this whole conversation a couple weeks ago admitting that my college football knowledge has always been weak. I try year after year, the last 3, 4, 5 years to get better at it. I think I'm getting better at it, but I'm no expert. So,
well, all right. Well,
well,
none of us
whatever.
are really, but
Well,
I got
no,
ASU.
I
You
think
got to
you're
go
right.
Texas.
Arizona State. All right, Notre Dame, Georgia. What do we got?
See, that's a really good game, but I'm gonna give it to Carson Beck and the Bulldogs.
Carson Beck's injured.
He'll play.
He wasn't that good anyway.
He'll play.
What do you got, Jeff?
I do remember the Irish coming marching down and beating A&M in the first game of the year at Kyle Field in a tough atmosphere to play at. Then they got waxed the next week because it was a sleeper game on them, and then they ran it ever since. And I'm going with the Irish.
I don't know anybody on the
I'm going
Irish.
with the Irish.
I don't know. Do you know one person that plays for the Irish?
No, but they got a good team.
I have no idea.
They've only lost one time, and that was a fluke.
I've never seen him.
All right, so let's see. Chuck has Oregon. Chuck has Texas. Yeah, well, I think people are ready to move on for yours.
Chuck has Georgia too.
Yeah, and Georgia too. Yours. I don't know. You're like disinterested sometimes. I don't get it. That's a product of NIL money.
Arch Manning's gonna go to LSU.
Bama. All right,
Let's going in the portal.
No,
not
Sammy
no.
thinks he is.
Oh,
He's going to be the next quarterback at Texas.
I know. But...
All right. So
he could be in. He could be the next quarterback at Texas anytime that Quinn goes down.
Well, Quinn. I mean, I don't know
Right?
if Quinn's. I don't know if Quinn moves on this year or.
Oh, he's going.
No,
to the
I mean,
draft.
I mean,
Okay,
like,
yeah. So he'll be the next quarterback.
Injury wise.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, SMU, Boise State. Did we already do that one?
No.
Okay,
Well, I already
SMU,
told you I don't like Boise State or Oregon, and I already took Oregon, so I got to take SMU. But I would have taken them.
Guarantee you, if SMU beats Penn State, they can beat Boise State. So I'm going SMU.
So Final Four, we all agree. No, we don't all agree. I've got Oregon against Arizona State, Notre Dame against SMU.
I have Oregon against Texas, Georgia against SMU. So
what do you?
I got Oregon, Texas, and the Irish and SMU.
All right, so
Dad, who do you got?
Arizona. I just said it.
You have Arizona State.
Oregon, Arizona State, Notre Dame, SMU.
Okay, so who do you got for Oregon, Arizona State?
Who do you think?
You got Arizona State, really?
State?
That's crazy.
That's going to be a 60-58 game or something.
So I got Texas over Oregon, I guess, then, and then the battle of the private.
Yeah, you
the
got
rich private schools, the Irish and the SMU.
So who do you got? SMU or Notre Dame?
I'm gonna pull for the homeboys instead of the Irish. SMU.
There we go. Sammy?
I got Oregon beating Texas, and I got SMU losing a close game to the Bulldogs.
Okay, so your final two, Sammy, are what?
Oregon and Georgia.
And your winner?
Georgia.
Doug, your final two?
Quit calling me Doug.
Jeff?
I got
Sorry,
Texas
y'all.
Texas and SMU, and I'm taking the Horns.
And let's see, Chuck has Georgia, Boise State. Chuck's laughing at somebody. You got last two, Jeff, for who?
Chuck, who do you have winning the college football playoffs?
And what do you
Yeah,
have? For your
I've
final
got
two?
Texas SMU. I got Texas to win it.
Oh, you're homering. You're
Read Chuck.
Arizona State. Yep. Go with me, Chuck. Come on. They win. You got to start playing it. Yeah, I will. So I got Arizona State beating Notre Dame, and guess who I have winning this national championship? Are you ready?
You just said
Arizona
it. Arizona State.
Notre
No,
Dame.
I didn't.
Notre
I
Dame.
said Arizona State against Notre Dame in the final game.
Oh, you got Notre Dame.
I got Notre Dame.
Notre
Winning it
Dame.
all right here. Read it and weep.
What? Yeah, and
Me and
Texas,
Chuck
and you
have
got
Georgia.
and I quit on Notre Dame there at one
You
point.
gave up.
I don't know why.
I don't know why. They're the second best team in this whole bracket by record.
Yeah.
SMU's going to shock a lot of people, I'll tell you.
Yep. All right, there we go. So Notre Dame here, Georgia there, and Texas here. All right, and Chuck
All three
has
different. All three different.
Chuck. I think Georgia, Chuck. All right. Poem time. What time is that, Sammy? You
Rhyme
have
time.
yet- we've done 24 shows and you've yet.
No,
to
I
be
got
on
it. I got
time.
it. Ready?
So,
Jeff. I don't need the music.
no, I like it. Gets me in the mood. Gets me in the mood. Okay, now, my late great mother, her birthday is tomorrow, and she's on my Sunday prayer list. Obviously, if you don't have your mother on your prayer list, what good's your prayer list?
Yeah.
I remember one time being at Dove's Nest doing a book signing, and I asked the lady, "I'll read you a poem about anything you like. Well, what are you interested in?" And she says, "Well, I'm Christian." So I read her this poem, and then she finished, and she questioned my premise about why I pray to the living instead of for the dead. And I told her this, that the Lord's Prayer starts, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." I don't buy into praying for anything that people want other than them accepting the will that God has. And that's what we have to do, is accept his will. But I do believe people up in heaven, number one, I think they like it if you check in with them. And number two, I think they may have a little effect on what happens down on the earth.
You think?
I do.
Maybe. Who knows?
So here we go with my
Well, Dad, if you're listening,
mom.
well, Dad or Mom.
Mom
I'm
too.
talking to
Yeah.
my mom. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
your
my dad. Yeah.
Your dad.
Dad, just hang with me.
Hang with him.
Anyway.
So we're going to give you my prayer list and then a sequel, my prayer list too, which is specifically, well, you'll hear it soon. Here we go. My prayer list. My prayer book is long. It's all in my head. I don't pray for the living, just to the dead. If I know you and you part this earth, on my prayer list, you will gain a berth. Without calling out names, you might call it the Jeff Lynch Hall of Fame. I think those who are above watch those of us below. They do more than send their love to those that they know. They have the inside track with the Almighty One. He gives them the choice to get things done. Many have been gone for a good many years. I'd like to think my prayers give them heavenly tears. I can almost hear them say, "Goodness, Jeff thought of me today." That he still keeps me in his heart is the sweetest part.
Mm-hmm.
So when in a big pine box, they do put me in, send a little prayer my way every Sunday.
Very good.
And so then when my mom passed away in June of 2021, I had to pen another one.
Mm-hmm.
I just sat down and wrote it that day. Another new saint has been sent heaven's way. Barbara Ann Etall Lynch went up there today. This pretty Lebanese lass joins family and friends at last. Daughter, sister, cousin, wife, mother, aunt, Grammy, and friend. Loving and loyal to the end. We will all miss her here, especially Tom, her husband dear. From her heavenly birth, she will look over us on earth. For all of us, this is a big plus.
Very good. Your dad, how long after that did your dad pass away?
My dad passed away in about a year and a half later.
After.
And man, he passed away on New Year's Eve of 2022. And one of my two brothers were kind of handling the estate up there, or guardians, whatever it was, while they're still alive.
Right.
And then he was getting to the very last minutes, and we'd all been up there to see him, but Kevin was in the room with him about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and he said, "Dad, I know you're getting really close, but I just want you to know, if you happen to pass away before midnight, I won't have to do your taxes next year."
Oh my!
And he died.
He
He
before
died at
midnight.
about 10 minutes till midnight.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a cool story.
yeah.
All right, we got about 5 minutes to do our fun today in history. I understand I'm under the gun today because you had there's 6 questions, you got 1 bonus, and you got them all right. So you're 7-0.
I knocked off a 7-0, and here we
my
go.
God. All right,
That's
let's
easy.
go.
That's
Take
easy.
it from the top.
Let's go, Sam.
Oldest to youngest, oldest to newest. Happy birthday, Chuck's mom. God bless you, Chuck, for saying that. Thank you
that's
much.
Nice.
Belated happy birthday, or early
Yeah.
happy birthday to a dead person. Whatever we're trying to say. Thank you.
All right.
The Confederacy admitted Kentucky as it recognized a pro-Southern shadow state government that was acting without the authority of the pro-Union government in Frankfurt. I think you understand what they're saying
Yeah.
there? You
Yeah.
understand what they're saying there?
You got to go first.
1864.
1859.
1861.
Sammy's closer than
I was close.
Sammy's a blind squirrel.
So they were a Union state, but their government was acting as if it was a Southern state. So they said,
Yeah.
"We'll
bring
take you.
it. Yeah.
We'll take you." Okay.
Interesting.
A treaty was signed in Paris, officially ending the Spanish-American War.
1902.
1910.
1901. Good job, young man.
Sammy.
Good job, young
Yo,
man.
come on. Come on.
Oh, wow. President Theodore Teddy Roosevelt became the first American to win a Nobel Prize, winning the Nobel Prize for helping to negotiate peace in the Russo-Japanese War. As my wife and I were talking, we don't hear that much about
No.
the Spanish American, and we sure don't hear much about the Russo-Japanese.
No, for sure.
But he helped negotiate it, and he got the Nobel Prize.
1939.
1929.
1906.
Wow.
Oh, well, that wasn't a big
smoke.
I missed that.
That
one
wasn't a
by
good
one.
big jump.
There you go.
All right.
Martin. So they must be doing this. Must be the week, and I haven't heard Oslo coming out, but this must be the traditional Nobel Prize
It might be.
week, because here we got another one. Here we
Yeah.
go. Martin Luther King Jr. received his Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, saying he accepted it with an abiding faith in America and an audacious faith in the future of mankind.
1931.
1967.
1964, and the bonus was in effect for the big man. Thank you. Here we go.
Dang it.
Otis Redding, 26, and 6 others were killed when their plane crashed into Wisconsin's Lake Monona. Trumpeter Ben Cawley, a member of the group the Bar-Kays, was the only survivor. Otis Redding, sitting on a dock of the bay.
I love that
That's a
song.
Isn't that a great
song,
song?
87.
70. 78.
67.
Wow. He died in
Another
a
one.
plane crash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dude who sung that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There are more music
More-
people have died in plane crashes than most
Many
people
of them in
realize.
Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Only 26.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a life cut short, isn't it?
My buddy Holly,
Yeah.
Jim Croce,
Yeah.
they all died that way.
Yeah. Former Vice President Al Gore. Yet a third Nobel Prize. This is Nobel Prize week. They'll be coming out.
Yeah.
Former Vice President Al Gore accepted the Nobel Peace Prize with a call for humanity to rise up against a looming climate crisis and stop waging war on the environment.
Yeah, that was in 1993.
That would be in 1996.
He wasn't a former vice president at that point.
Oh, well, then so it would have been
Yes.
2003.
Well,
Dang
you're
it.
19. Well,
I said 96.
96. 2007.
Ah,
I'll stick with my first answer, which means I lose. So I'm 2-4.
2 and 4.
Oh, that's bad. Are we done?
We're done.
Oh,
That's it?
that's the worst I've ever
oh,
had.
jeez.
Sorry.
I think I did the same as my
2-4.
dad.
Yikes. Oh well.
Well, Chuck won,
I
or not
better
Chuck.
read up. All right.
Jeff won.
So all three of those Nobels were peace prizes. We got a few extra minutes. So what do we? Not to
meme of the
compare
day.
them.
Well, now, let me say this about Nobel Peace. Let me just say this about the Nobels. Is that we heard in the campaign that or when something was impeached or whatever, 51 of the highest levels of intelligence officers or whatever or signed a letter saying Trump did this or Trump did that. Just right now there's 75 Nobel something or another's are now saying certain things about the quote. I just read it on X this morning that a guy posted something against Trump saying, 75 of these Nobel laureate people have signed this to say that Trump is wrong. I don't really do that much posting on X, but I did post this. I said, hey, knucklehead, what makes you not realize that none of us care what Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel laureate, Nobel,
wow.
are you trying to tell me that Obama legitimately is a Nobel something or another winner, or Al Gore?
Well, okay.
Don't get me started.
No, okay.
It's the end of the show. Don't
All
get
right.
me started.
You're coming on me at left field here. I wasn't. When I think of Nobel, I think about a whole bunch of awards they give besides just the Peace Prize.
Yeah, they give a lot of things.
So
yeah, I think there's one for economy in there.
I've never really analyzed. Okay.
I think it's politicized. Speaking of politicization, just makes me mad.
So I'm not huge on the Al Gore one.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King. I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt here in America, negotiating peace between Japan and Russia.
I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying if you politicize one, then you have tainted all of them. It's like Deion Sanders saying you don't recognize Travis Hunter as a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. I'm done with Jim. He won Sanders won the.
He said, I'm going to give it. No, I'm giving it to Hunter.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Hunter. That's too funny.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to close this morning with this afternoon saying thank you for being here. We enjoy the show. I'm telling you, I didn't see our numbers from last Thursday, but our numbers, which I don't want to ever present us as being consumed with them, but we do judge the effectiveness of our show by the number of people that are watching. And we are, in some cases, over 1,000, which means a lot to us from scratch. And we're grateful for it. We're grateful for the interaction. We try to pick these topics that are interesting. Sometimes they're infuriating for people.
So tell your neighbors, tell your friends.
Yeah. We want to bring the world to Waxahachie. That's the idea. We want to close before we get to our close with
your best
meme,
one ever right here.
Our meme of the day. Sammy, is it up on the screen?
It is now.
Speaking of moms, good moms don't let you lick the batter or the beaters with the chocolate and all that over them. Good moms don't let you lick the beaters. Good moms let you lick the beaters. Great moms turn them off first.
Oh my God! I licked a lot of beaters of my mom.
Can you imagine having your mouth all over that thing and a mom turns it on?
My mom, nobody made more types and better Christmas cookies than my mom. Everybody thinks that of theirs, but boy,
that's right.
She could put them down. She could put them down, man. So here we go.
All right, take us home. Enjoyed it, Chuck. Thank you.
Remember, don't write a check you can't cash. Boom.
Pony up.
Pony up.
Pony up. Pony up. That's everything. Same. All right.